Hey guys, welcome to Unshackling Sudokus and Puzzles. I'm Kishore and today's solve will be on a Kropki Sudoku created by Lubaf. So this Sudoku was posted on the CTC Discord server and this caught my eye today because all you can see is only black dots and there are no white dots. The link to solve this Sudoku is given in the description of the video. Please do give it a try and then come back and watch the video. So let us go into the rules now. Classic rules apply. Each row, column and box will have digits from 1 to 9 without repetitions. And if you see a black dot between adjacent cells, then those two cells must be in the ratio of 1:2. And if you have a white dot in the grid, then those two cells must be consecutive. But here you can see that there are no white dots. But normally in Kropki Sudokus, majority of Kropki Sudokus will have white dots also. But this is quite a construction feat. All you can see is black dots, which means that there are no two digits or no two adjacent cells which have consecutive digits. Awesome, right? A simply brilliant theme to execute, and I hope this Sudoku is really enjoyable for you guys. I have no idea how the solve is. This is going to be a live solve. I hope you guys enjoy the video. So let us start the Sudoku, and I don't think I've explained the rules fully, right? Yeah, a black dot between cells indicate that those two cells must be in a ratio of 1:2. And if you don't have any two black dots, or if you don't have black dots between adjacent cells, then those two cells cannot be in the ratio of 1:2. So for example, if you take these two cells, you can't, for example, have 1 and 2 here or 1 and 2 here, because that is giving us a contradiction, right? 1 and 2 are in the ratio of 1:2, but there is no black dot. So simply put, vice versa rules apply. And if you see a white dot, then those two digits are consecutive, and if there is no white dots between two cells, then those two cells cannot be consecutive. So these are the rules. All possible dots have been marked. So let us get to solving the grid now. Seems to be a really interesting Sudoku. So the start is apparently this one, right? When you have a sequence of 3 consecutive dots, as you can see here, the only way possible to satisfy the grid is by using 1, 2, 4 and 8. There is no other possible combination. So which means that it can work out this way, 1, 2, 4, 8, or it can go the other way, 1, 2, 4 and 8. So this is the only possible combination to satisfy 3 consecutive dots, either in a box, in a column or a row. And the moment you write that this is 1, 2, 4, 8, this has to be invariably 3 and 6. So the only possible digits which have 1:2 ratio are 1 and 2, 2 and 4, 4 and 8 and 3 and 6. So the only possible combination here would be 3, 6. And look at this sequence of 3 dots. So it's either 1, 2, 4 or 2, 4, 8. We don't know yet which one is the case. However, we can be certain that this cell has to be 2 or 4. 1, 2, 4 or 2, 4, 8. So in both the cases, this is 2 or 4. We can maybe look at this dot and this dot, right? So totally you can see in column 2 that there are 6 cells which are covered in dots. So one more basic thing to know while solving Kropki Sudoku is that 5, 7 and 9, the digits 5, 7 and 9 can never be part of any black dots. Because if you have 5, 7, 9 as part of black dots, there is no way you can get the other digit, right? So which means that in column 2, these 3 cells would have to take 5, 7, 9, right? Because rest of the cells are covered by black dots. So these cells become 5, 7, 9. And since you have clear demarcation of digits like these, you can see 3 black dots which are spaced out there are 3 black dots in the column. The only way to satisfy 3 black dots which are not consecutive is if you have 1, 2 pairing, 4, 8 pairing and 3, 6 pairing. So what I mean to say is that you cannot have a 2 and 4 pairing, for example, let's say you have a 2 and 4 here, the one of the black dots will invariably become 3 6, then there is no way to satisfy the other black dot. So which means that when you have 3 black dots in a column which are not consecutive, the only possible way to satisfy them is that when you have 1 and 2, 4 and 8 and 3 and 6, which means that this is 1 and 2 or it is 3 and 6, right? So let me write in the digits here, this must be 579 and this must be 579. If this is a 1, this is a 2 and this must be 4 8 or 3 6, right? Really interesting, guys. So maybe we can look at this dot because you have 2 4 here, which means that this is 1 8 or 3 6, because obviously it cannot be 5 7 9. So these are the exhaustive list of digits which can go here. So if it is 1 or 8, this would have to be 2 or 4 respectively, because 1 gets a 2 and 8 gets a 4. And if it is 3 or 6, this would be 3 or 6, right? So one thing I can do here is that since vice versa rules apply, you can't have a 9 here. This is really a fancy deduction. And why is that the case? Because if you have a 9 here, this becomes a 5 7 and that becomes 5 7, and you either have the 6 in this cell, in which case these two cells become consecutive, or you have the 6 here, in which case these two cells become consecutive, but you don't have any black dot, any white dot in the grid, which means that this cannot happen, right? So this cannot be a 9. This would have to be a 5 7. Sorry, this would have to be a 5 7, and these two cells will be 5 7 9. And using the same idea, if you look closely, there is a 2 4 pencil mark in row 2 column 2, which means that you cannot have a 3 here, right? Because if this is a 3, then this becomes consecutive and you need a white dot here. There is no white dot, so that becomes a 6. That would have to be a 3, and the moment this becomes a 6, this cannot be 5 7, so that's a 9, and that would be a 5 and 7. And the moment you have 9 here, you can't have consecutive digits here, so this is not 8. So once this becomes 1, this becomes 2, this becomes 4, and that becomes 8, right? And you can resolve this 5 7 pair. Now can you see why? Because you have 4 here, you can't have a 5 here. So 7 and 5, and that gives a 7 9 pair here. 5 is eliminated. So this cannot be a 3 6 because you have 3 here, right? Really interesting, guys. Okay, I can make a small elimination. In row 2 I have a 6, so this is not a 6 and that's not a 3. So I'm yet to deduce where the 3 and 6 and where the 4 and 8 goes. And at this point I don't think we will be able to do that. Suppose if this is a 4 and 8, this becomes 2, and if this is a 4 and 8, okay, there seems to be some kind of interaction between all these black dots. It's not really clear what is the thing, but there seems to be something. Okay, this is nice. This is really nice. Look at these 7 9 pencil marks. What they are doing is that they are eliminating the 8 from this cell and from this cell, because then they become consecutive, right? So in these kind of variants, always be on the lookout for vice versa property also, guys, because they will also be equally helpful. So which means that I either have the 8 here or the 8 here, and that gives me a 4 here or the 4 here, right? So this is 4 8 or this is the 4 8. So should I write the pencil marks here? Okay, what does this cell contain? This can only be 1, 2, 4 or 8, right? These are the only possible digits that can go here. Of course, 8 is eliminated because you have a 7, 9 here, so this can't be 8. So I think we can write in the candidates now. If this is a 1, this becomes 2 and that becomes 4. If this is a 2, this becomes 4 and that becomes 8. And if that's a 4, this becomes 2 and that becomes 1. So this can only be 1, 4 or 8. Really interesting, guys. Really interesting. I mean, I would have to say kudos to the author Lubaf for creating this all black Kropki Dots Sudoku. Really amazing theme, guys. Hats off to the author. Awesome theme. Is there any clear logic that we can spot at this point of time? So if only I could deduce that this is a 4, 8, I can get 1, 2, 4 here. There really seems to be something at this point. This is a 4, 8. This becomes 2 and 1, 4, 5, 7, 8. Okay, I'm seeing a contradiction, guys. Let me look at it again. This is a really crucial point in the Sudoku. Cannot be a 5. Yeah. It's really good, guys. A little bit of deep think can get you here. So, can this be a 4 and 8? We have deduced that either this is 4 and that is 8, or this is 4 and this is 8. What happens if you have a 4 and an 8 here? Now look carefully. You have a 3, 6 here, right? And which means that the 3, 6 in box 7 would have to be here. Of course, they cannot be in this cell because then we need a black dot between those two cells. So 3, 6 gets separated like this. And now if you look closely, there is only one cell left for the 5 in this box. So 5 goes here, right? And because of this 4, this becomes a 2 and you have a 1, 4 here, or rather a 4 and a 1 here. And at this point, you have a 7, 8 in column 1 without a white dot. A really deep think, right? Nice logic though. It all started with thinking what happens if this is a 4, 8. A little bit of deep think. Maybe there are better logics in the Sudoku which are really sharp to see, but I'm going to use the one which I told you guys. It's not really hard to see, just you have to keep on thinking along a line. So hope you got to enjoy that. So this is not a 4, 8, which means this is a 4 and that is an 8, and instantly that becomes a 3, 6. And because you have a 4 here, this cannot be a 4. So 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 8. So these are the only possible combinations you can have here. Okay, so I can't have 3, 6 here, right? Which means that 3, 6 must be going in these two digits. There are no other cells which can take the 3, 6, because if this is 3 and 6, then the other 3, 6 goes here or goes here, and that forces a black dot. So this is the only possible combination of 3, 6. And now if you look and ask yourself where 5 can go, 5 cannot be in these two cells because there is no white dot. That becomes 5. So 3, 6, 4, 5 and 8. So 1 and 2, 7 and 9. So you have 1, 2 here. So this cannot be 1 and 2 because there is no white dot. So this is 1 and 2 and that is 7 and 9. I think now we can be able to resolve some digits here. Okay, you can't have 2 here because 2, 4 becomes double of each other or in the ratio of 1:2 without a black dot. So that's 1, that's 2 and that forces a 4 here and that forces 8 here. 2, 4, 8, 3, 5, 6, 9. So this has to be 7, that has to be a 9 and only digit left in column 1 is 1. So 1, 3, 6, 8, 4. So 2, 5, 7, 9 are remaining digits. So this would be a 7. 2, 5 and 9. Let's write the candidates. And you can't have 6 adjacent to a 7. So that's a 3, that's a 6. That is not a 5. That is not a 2. Okay, so we are getting somewhere here, right? And now let us diversify to these two areas. These maybe that will help us. So look at this black dot. This cannot be 1 and 2. This cannot be a 2 and 4. This cannot be a 3 and 6 because you have 3, 6 here. So there is only one possible combination. This can only be 4 and 8. There is no other combination left. And you can't have 8 here because that forces a 4 here, which means that this is a 4, that is 8, and this would have to be 2 or 8. And because you have 4 here, this would have to be a 6 because 3 cannot be adjacent. So that gives a 3 here. 5 gets eliminated from here because Kropki rule. And 2, 9 pair gives me a 5 here. And look at these two cells. 2 has to be in them because if you don't have a 2, then you have 8 here and 9 here, and that gives you consecutive digits. So not possible. So 2 has to be here. So I'm basically trying to resolve the black dots so that we can get some quick digits, right? And if you look at this black dot, this cannot be 1 and 2. It can be 2 and 4. It can be 4 and 8. And it cannot be 3 and 6 because you have 6 here. So which basically means 4 must be in one of these two cells, right? And using classic, 4 goes here because you can't have 4 here. 4 goes in one of these two cells. Look at this 9, guys. 9 cannot go into these cells. 9 cannot go here, so 9 goes here. 9 cannot be here. 9 cannot be in these 4 cells, so 9 goes here. And you have a 9 in row 3, so that gives us a 9 here. That's awesome. So 9 cannot be in these 4 cells. 9 cannot be in column 8, so 9 goes here. And because you have a 9 here, this cannot be an 8, right? So 8 is eliminated there, and correspondingly 4 is eliminated from here. So if you have a 1 here, this becomes 2, and if you have a 3 here, that becomes a 6. And what do we do now? So 8 is not here because you have a 9. 8 is not here because it's adjacent to a 4 without a black dot. So 8 goes in one of these two cells, and you cannot have 8 in column 5. Awesome. So we get an 8 here. So that becomes an 8. That's really nice. So 2, 4, 6, 8 and 9. Remaining digits are 1, 3, 5 and 7. You can't have 3 and 5 here. So that's a 1 and 7 because there is no white dot. So 5 goes here or here. Okay, maybe we can write some digits here. I'm not really certain. Not clear. 3, 6 is possible. 2, 1. It can be 1, 2, 4 and 8 also. 4, 8. Okay, let us go step by step. You have a 4 in row 5, 4 in row 6. So 4 goes in one of these 3 cells. Can you have a 4 outside? If I have a 4 outside, that's not possible, guys. 4 cannot be outside. I'll explain you why. Look at these 8s first. 8 is in row 4 and row 6. So 8 goes in these 3 cells. Suppose the 4 goes here, then you cannot have 8 as part of these 4 cells, right? Because 8 requires a 4 to have a ratio of 1:2. So 8 goes here. But then 4 and 8 form a ratio of 1:2 without a black dot. So 4 cannot be here. Awesome, right? So does that help us? And you can eliminate the 8 from here because 8 becomes adjacent to a 9. 9 is in one of these 2 cells. That's really good, guys. What is Sudoku? So 8 cannot be here. So 8 is in one of these cells and 4 is in one of these cells. Now we know for sure 4 and 8 is inside here. We need to determine if the other black dot is 1 and 2 or 3 and 6. I think we must be able to do that. Can it be a 3 and 6? 2 and 9, 1, 5 and 7, so that's a 3. Seems likely. Okay, I think we can get some 4s. 4 is not in column 4. 4 cannot go here because adjacent to an 8, so 4 goes in one of these 2 cells. And that gives us a 4 here. Okay, let us see where the 8 goes in row 1. It either goes in this cell or this cell because you have 8s here and 8 cannot be adjacent to 9. So if this is 8, this becomes 4. Ah, okay, you cannot have 8 here, guys. Really, the directions are really sweet, guys. Superb one. So if this is an 8, this becomes 4. And now how can you satisfy this 4, 8? Remember that 4 and 8 goes together. You cannot have 4, 8 here because 8 contradicts. You cannot have 4, 8 here because 4 contradicts. Awesome. This would have to be 8. And now I can't have 7 in any of these cells. So 7 goes here. So if you look at this black dot, it cannot be 3, 6, it cannot be 4 and 8. So it's either 1 and 2 or 2 and 4. In both the cases you have a 2 here. Superb. 2 is common, so 2 has to go here. So this is not 2. Really good, guys. So that's a 6. That is 3. I'm really enjoying this Sudoku. What a fun Sudoku to solve. 3, 8, 9, 2, 4, 6. So this must be 1 or a 5 because 7 cannot go here. And remember that 4 is in one of these cells. So that's not a 5, that's a 1. So you can see the vice versa rule, how powerful it is. And to execute it without any white dot is simply an amazing feat. So that's a 7. That's a 5. And you have 6 here. So this is not 7. So that becomes 7. 3, 6, 9, 5, 7 and 8. So you have 1 in row 3. So 1 goes here. So that's 1 and 2. And the remaining digit is 4. And because you get a 4 here, you get a 4 here. And I think we are now lighting the Sudoku on fire. We are igniting now. So you have a 3 here, which means this is not a 2. So that's a 2, that's a 1. 1, 2, 4, 8, 3, 5, 7. So this would be a 6 and 9. And using vice versa, this cannot be a 9. So that's a 6, that's a 9. And 1, 7, 8, 4, 6, 9. So remaining digits are 2, 3, 5. We can place them here. Sorry. And because you can't have successive digits together, so 5 must separate the 2 and 3. So that's a 5. So that's 2, 3, 2, 3. And you cannot have 3 and 6 together without a black dot. So that's a 2 and that's a 3. And because you got the 4 here, now this must be a 4 and 8. So let me quickly mark it. And you got a 4 here, so this must be a 4. And 4 requires a 2 or an 8. But you have a 2 in column 8, so that becomes 8. And now 8 in row 7. Look where the 8 can go in row 7. Can't be here, can't be here. And you have 2 8s because we have already marked some 8s here, so that becomes 8. And now this cannot be a 9. It's adjacent to an 8. So that is 2, that is 9. 9 is removed from this cell. And now if you look at row 6 and ask yourself where does the 7 go? 7 cannot be in these two cells. 7 cannot be here, so 7 goes here. Because you can't have 7 adjacent to an 8, so 7 goes here. And in column 7, 7 has only one cell left, so 7 goes here. Can't be here, can't be here, so only one cell. So 7 has to go here. That gives us a 9 here. And in row 8, there is only one cell left for the 9, so that's a 9. And 1 3 6 4 7 8 and 9, so remaining digits are 2 and 5. And you have 2 here, so that is a 5. So that is a 2. 2 4 8 and 1 6 9, so this would be a 3 5 7. And you can't have 3 5 adjacent to a 4, so that is a 7. 5 is here, so that is a 5, that is a 3. 3 5 7 4 8 and 9. 2 is in row 7, 2 goes here, so that becomes a 1 and 6. So you can resolve the 1 and 6. That's a 6, that's a 1. 1 6 8 9 2 4 7, so this would be a 3 5. Can't have 5 as part of a black dot. 5 goes here, 3 goes here, these, and 3 has to have a 6. Be a 6, and that becomes a 1. So 1 5 7 8 2 4 and 9, so this becomes 3 6. And 3 can be resolved, so that's a 6, that's a 3. That gives us a 3 in row 6. And we can complete row 6 now. 1 3 6 7 4 5 8, so this would have to be a 2 9. And 2 cannot be adjacent to a 3, so that's a 2, that's a 9. And 3 5 8 2 4 6, so this must be a 1 7 9. And using classic, you can quickly get a 7 here, a 9 here, and a 1 here. And this must be a 2 5 6. And 5 and 6 needs to be separated by the 2, because there is no white dot, so that's a 2, that's a 6, and that's a 5. And with that, we have completed this feat of a construction created by Lubaf. I really need to appreciate the author for pulling off this Sudoku. It's not easy to create a Kropki Sudoku without any white dots, because while creating, always at some point there will be some nagging problem in the form of consecutive digits. It's really difficult to control the Sudoku. So hats off to the author for pulling off this Sudoku. Really excellent solve it had, and I'm happy that we could cover up a video on this Sudoku. Hope you guys enjoyed watching me solve this. Please let us know your thoughts in comments, and do remember to subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.